And the reason why this is such a big part is because when we... well, you stuttered earlier. Whatever. It's... The guy was the guy was telling me I needed to have a specific date. Gabby, hold it together. Hey, I'm Dylan.
And I'm Gabby. We both had our own story before our lives completely transformed.
Eventually, we started traveling and doing ministry.
We connected and got married.
Then we started a family.
Then came the shift, a call to live more simple and rooted.
Welcome to Caughversations. Hey everyone, welcome back to Caughversations. Caughversations, however you want to say it. This is episode 2, and today we're going to be going into our actual marriage testimony. So, Gab, when you look back at the whole testimony, like what do you think at first with our story? Because we called it a Luke 10 wedding. You want to tell the viewers what we mean by that?
Yeah, I would say, honestly, it made no sense to, the natural mind. When I think back to our marriage testimony of how fast-paced it was, I guess that those would be the words that come to my mind. Fast-paced, Luke 10, supernatural, testimony. It was crazy. I mean, from the get-go, the Lord was just providing for every single little need and every single big need.
I'm gonna try to ask more questions in our podcast because that's really what a podcast is. I know in the first one we looked at the camera a lot. So as you were talking, you said supernatural. Mm-hmm. Explain, because I never heard you say that, to be honest, about our testimony. What was supernatural about our wedding or our marriage testimony?
I guess what I mean by that is the fact that to be honest, we had no money. We had nothing planned. We were doing this in 6 weeks, doing it all, planning it all out. It was just so fast.
Yeah.
And we didn't, we weren't trying to do it in our own strength or our own timing or our own way. We really felt like the Lord was giving us a time frame, which, to a lot of people, they might not get it. They might think we're crazy, but we really believe this was what the Lord was saying. And it was confirmation after confirmation because he started providing for us. Because, in the very beginning when, in the last video, we were mentioning how we were leaving Texas and his stepdad, actually, Scott, was saying that we should just go and do a wedding. And for him to say something like that isn't just typical. He's not someone to rush into something that I'm aware of. Yeah. And so that was kind of the first sign. And then on our travels back there, the Lord started providing immediately. I mean, literally, I met with 2 girls, and then I knew the third one, and they all had the thought, without telling one another, that they were supposed to buy me a wedding dress. As soon as we leave to hit the road, we made a pit stop to North Carolina, and they literally bought a wedding dress for me and a veil, and it was my perfect size, no alterations.
She's going right into it, y'all.
Yeah, so that's what I mean by supernatural.
I was still trying to explain the Luke 10 aspect, because what we mean by that is when you read Luke 10 in the Bible, it's obviously talking about how we go into the world as sheep among wolves, and so the context is different. But when we're talking about, when we say a Luke 10 wedding, we just mean complete faith. We don't, like she said, we don't have anything, and everything's just totally unplanned. We had an idea of how we wanted our wedding to look like and kind of the theme, because we know that God has good gifts. Obviously, there's people that get married in the courtroom and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But everything that happened, I look back and I'm like, yeah, it's crazy. I don't even know how it happened, because I definitely had no money at all.
What word would you say, to explain our wedding? Because you asked me.
I would say just trust. Especially looking back now, because I think the craziest part is when we got the date for the wedding. Mm-hmm. There was such little time, and we literally had friends that came from all over. One friend, weren't they in Hawaii at the time?
Yep, my bestie.
And they literally traveled all the way to our wedding in New York. And so we'll get there eventually. But that's what we mean by Luke 10 wedding.
Yeah, there was just a lot of little pieces. All the moving parts came together perfectly, and that's why we know it was the Lord's timing, because we could not have pulled that together ourselves. Like, it's not possible. Every little detail, everything. Like Dylan said, it wasn't a courthouse wedding. And, you know, we would have been, like, okay with that, but we knew God has more. Like, he's a good father that gives good gifts. And so the fact that, you know, we had everything like a typical wedding has in 6 weeks, that is supernatural.
Yeah, so
it doesn't make any sense.
We got to start in order. This is where we got to get better at these podcasts. So, because we forgot a part, you were starting to talk about the wedding dress. But I would say the very first thing that happened, which was...
Oh, when you proposed?
No, not even that. When we first left Texas, my parents had 2 friends that were also in Texas. And it was when I literally had no money. And so they
I forgot about that.
They actually blessed me with like $200. And that's what actually...
It bought my wedding ring.
It ended up going towards the ring. And so as we were traveling, we had different pit stops. The first pit stop was somewhere in... It was before North Carolina. And that's where I got the ring. I forget which state it was. But it was...
I don't know. I have no idea because I didn't know he got the ring.
Yeah, we went to a Walmart. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
my ring at Walmart.
I did. I got it at Walmart. But see, if you're a Christian, it doesn't really matter. It's the thought.
Thing is, it's funny because I really thought he was getting... I thought he was getting me the ring. And it's so hard to surprise me.
Yeah,
and it was... I want to say it was a difficult moment, like, throughout this whole thing, because I'm like, Lord, I want to be surprised so badly. But it's like every little thing I kind of knew when it was happening. And so I was like, dang. But I remember, like, looking at the rings, and the crazy part was I was looking at the rings in Walmart, and the one I have, it wasn't even there. Like, it literally was not there. I was looking at all of them, and so I didn't really see one I liked. And then eventually I'm like in a different section, and that's when Dylan bought the ring, but he was like sly about it and acted like he didn't buy it. So then I was second guessing myself, like, oh, maybe he didn't actually buy me a ring.
I was actually hesitant because I was kind of prideful. I was actually thinking, oh my gosh, this is Walmart. Like, am I really about to buy a ring here? But I had $200. I think I had a little more. It's just I didn't. Yeah, I just didn't want to.
I think you got exactly $200 from the blessing.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
So got the ring at Walmart. We hit the road again, and then that's eventually when we get to North Carolina, like the next day. And so another crazy thing was, like, when Gabby was separated by herself, I was talking to my mom and my stepdad, and I was trying to plan on where I was going to do this. And so in North Carolina, they had mentioned how there's this park, and it was close by where we were staying at the time when we arrived there. And the whole idea was I was going to do it at this park. So on one of the days, or I think it was at nighttime, I was like in the RV talking with my parents, and I was just like, I just really feel like I got to do it now. And they were kind of like telling me not to, honestly. Like, Dylan, it's not going to be as special. Like, she's going to...
It was so late at night, too.
Super late at night, and I was just off, and it caused the whole argument or whatever. And so I went outside the RV.
It's funny, too, because I actually remember, like, we had a little dispute, too. Because he was acting weird, and then I honestly don't remember any of the details, if you do. But, like, we were just, like, kind of clashing, too.
The whole RV, like, me, my mom, my stepdad, and then Gabby kind of separated herself. And I was just, like, something in me wanted to just do it so bad. Like, I was so excited, and I'm like, it just feels like it's the time. And so what happened was...
And we're on someone's property, too, remember?
Yeah, that's true. And the whole property is filled with cars. Like, there's a lot of cars.
It's dark completely dark at night.
It's not like your romantic scenery.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
So when I went back in the RV, my parents were actually like, you know what, if you feel like you should, do it. Like, and so I did. I forget what the movie is, or it was a documentary called Before the Wrath, and it's basically this whole documentary about the rapture, or like Jesus coming back, but the symbolism, they call it, what was the wedding called?
I can't remember.
Galilean wedding tradition. And that was a big part of our wedding too. So basically in that time the guy would give the woman a cup of wine, right? Or I don't know if it was wine, but they would give them the cup, and if they drink of the cup, then
they accept
they
the
accept.
wedding. It's like they're basically already almost like married in a way. Like there's like it's been so long since we looked into it, so we don't remember as well the tradition. But it's basically like you've accepted marriage at that point, and then it's a surprise to the actual day that you celebrate the ceremony. You're waiting for the groom to come and marry you, which is like symbolic of the Lord's coming.
Yeah, so anyways, that's how I did it. And so I went outside, I set up everything. I even had a camera up, but I don't know if I ever had the recording.
What?
I
You had a camera?
Or maybe I didn't.
Oh, I wish you would
I
have.
thought I did. I realized it was
That's so
impossible to
sad.
get an angle. Anyways, but I did it that way. And so Gabby can jump in now. Like, do you remember that moment?
I'll be honest. It felt very, like in the moment, obviously it was exciting because that was like the one time Dylan surprised me because I was not expecting him to propose that night because we were kind of like having a dispute and he was having a dispute with his parents. Like the whole atmosphere was just like off and weird. So I wasn't expecting it. So I'm glad I was surprised. And like I was obviously going to say yes. I mean that's kind of the thing when you know it's the Lord, you can't like obviously that's going to happen. You know, you're going to get engaged and everything. So like, you know, we knew that was the next step. But I will say the atmosphere wasn't the best. Like the location, I probably would have liked for it to be somewhere nice, but at the same time then I would have been expecting it. You know, like I would have known it was coming. Like
She's
if
being
the
honest
next day.
now.
Yeah, like if the next day he would have proposed to me at the park and we went to a nice park and I dressed up, like I'd be like, oh duh, he's about to propose. So like no matter what, it was kind of like it's one of those situations that's kind of hard to navigate when you know it's coming. So at least he was able to surprise me.
So basically, this is a lesson for all you men out there. Even when you're excited and you have all these emotions, sometimes it's best to wait.
Yes.
But our wedding, as we get to it, it kind of redeems it because it was not what we expected. It was nicer than I thought it would have been.
Oh, definitely. And from there, so after we got engaged, isn't that when I got my dress next? I know I kind of spoiled that earlier.
Yeah, that's where the dress happened. And it's a big part because it involves the community that we lived with for so long, which will be a future episode.
Yeah, we're not even going to get into all that right now. But yeah, like I think it was the next day or within a couple days because we stopped in North Carolina. Like Dylan said, he proposed. And so we were fellowshipping with some people the next day, two of which the couple we knew already from this ministry that we were involved with prior to this. And then two ladies and their husbands were there. And I had never met them. I think his parents had met them. But they both said, they came to me. And they're like, we both feel like the Lord sent us here to bless you with a wedding dress. And I was like, what? That's so crazy. The Lord literally sent them here just to buy me a wedding dress. And so they pitched in, and then my other friend pitched in. They bought the wedding dress. Like I said, it fit me perfectly. It was an amazing deal for a wedding dress. I'm not even going to say how much it was, but it was crazy low. I got my veil. I loved the dress. We were able to buy it without Dylan even seeing it or knowing, which was good because I didn't want him to know we got the dress.
Yeah, that was a big thing too. I remember being like, why? There's something with women, man. Like the dress is a big deal, which I didn't understand that. Like
you cannot see the wedding dress before the wedding.
Oh, that sounds kind of like
that's crazy.
Mystical.
No,
like,
not like mystical, but it just ruins the surprise. Heck no. But anyways. What happened after that? I know so much stuff happened. Yeah, we should have thought about this first.
After that, we went to, it was like the next day, I think, where we went to...
My other ring?
No, we went to a fellowship gathering. And then we had people praying over us and stuff and just...
Oh my gosh, that was funny. Do you remember? They were kind of like discouraging us. Like, oh, like not everybody, but there were certain people that were like, when they were praying and talking to us, they were almost like, and I get it, they didn't know us. They could think we're just young and dumb. But I specifically remember there were several people that were like, you know, it's in the Lord's timing. And do you remember that?
Because of how fast-paced it was. But obviously...
They were just like doubting that we were hearing the Lord.
If you look in the natural, like we don't have even everything in the practical when you think about it.
We were very young, too.
We were young. I didn't have a job at the time. I was obviously traveling.
Yeah, we were doing full-time ministry at that time.
Didn't have money. Didn't have a vehicle. Yeah, we didn't have a vehicle at that time.
Well, I did. It was just in New York.
Yeah, but all this stuff, and so it's easy to look in the natural, and they're like, "Oh, you guys don't have your lives together. How's that gonna work?"
I'm telling you, it looked so unwise. Like, it looked crazy.
It was understandable that they had some of those
Yeah,
thoughts.
so we weren't offended. It's just funny to think back of, like, the Lord's ways versus man's ways. But, yeah.
So after North Carolina is when we eventually got to Pennsylvania.
PA,
Yeah,
yeah.
Pennsylvania. We were staying with a family member on my stepdad's side. They had like a little hotel type of thing or motel, bed and breakfast.
But yeah, yeah.
And so we stayed there for a little bit, and that was just a continuation of Gabby and I getting to get to know each other still.
In, like, a romantic way.
Yes.
Not bad,
Yeah,
but, like...
don't
that
take it in
sounds
the...
so bad.
Yeah, that
I
sounds
just
very
mean,
bad.
like...
That sounded very bad. But you're innocent, they'll understand.
I mean it in a pure way, like, I don't know. Just, like... whatever.
That's funny. Anyways, you know what's funny about that? Actually, I remember we made a bunch of YouTube videos. We made
Oh
one,
my gosh.
We made one in the room on the in one of the
Yeah,
rooms.
we were, like, sitting on a bed in the room, and, like, people got the wrong idea. And I was like,
Yeah.
what? We're just filming a video. It was crazy.
Yeah. So anyways, we got to know each other, and then the hard part came. Gabby went to visit her family, and so
Oh, yeah, for a week, I think it was.
there was more separation, even though it was for a week. I know you guys are gonna think I'm crazy, but when you're in love with somebody and like, it's before marriage. Like everything, all the emotions are hitting. You just don't want to be separated.
Yeah, Dylan had a hard time.
I had a very hard time.
Yeah, I went to New York for a week, and why did you even stay in PA? Why didn't you come with me?
I don't even remember.
I don't remember either.
But there was still other stuff that was happening. I mean, we were planning like crazy. Like we were like maniacs.
It was hard too, because it's like I had to plan this wedding, and Dylan was in a whole nother state. I'm like, Lord.
And you got your driver's license,
Oh yeah, I did during that time.
which was the Lord. That was a big thing.
Yeah, I like had my car, but I had never taken my test because of all the traveling. So I'm like, Lord, I really need to take my test and pass it before we get married. Like, because he didn't have his license either. And it happened. Like, I literally scheduled my test, took it, perfect
Yeah,
score.
first try. So there's so many testimonies involved. I just don't remember.
So many details.
I don't remember the order, but I remember there was one day where we went to Erie, which is where I'm from.
Like, I went with you?
Yeah, you were with me, my family.
But I was in New York.
This might have been before New York, or you came back maybe. I don't remember, but it's a huge part where we went to the mall, and it's when we were trying to find my tux. Was it a tuxedo?
Yeah, like you were going to get your tux and engagement ring.
Yeah, for
We
you.
were looking at engagement rings,
Yeah.
but we didn't end up getting any there.
Yeah, so we were at this place in the mall getting my tux, and the reason why this is such a big part is because when we, well, you stuttered earlier. Whatever, it's the guy was the guy was telling me I needed to have a specific date. Gabby, hold it together. You stuttered earlier and I didn't call you out. Anyways, the guy was telling me I needed to have a specific date for this tuxedo to be made. Gab!
No,
We need this-
a day to rent it.
Oh, yeah.
And we didn't want to buy it. We wanted to save money and have him get it rented, which honestly I wish we would have bought it to keep it. But yeah, we needed a day so that he could pick it up.
Yeah. So we were thinking of a date, and there was this whole obsession with Gabby and my mom with the number 11. They just insist.
Not in a weird way, though.
No, not like angel numbers or numerology, stuff like that. But 11, like...
11.
It was just a number that they would see a lot, hear a lot.
Yeah, my whole walk with the Lord, I would... And I'm not... Again, we're not into numbers and all that stuff. But I would literally always see 11s everywhere ever since I came to the Lord. And specifically, ever since I started praying who my spouse was going to be. And obviously, I was praying way before I knew about Dylan. But I would always see that number associated when I would pray about my spouse. I'm like, Lord, what is this? And, like, I'm huge on the topic of faith. And, like, Hebrews 11 is all about faith. And so I always, like, associated it with that. Which is funny because, like, we're saying our whole, like, marriage, and yeah, our whole marriage and the ceremony was based on faith. And so I was like, Dylan, I feel like we should do November 11th because
No, I
that's
was
11/11.
terrified.
And Dylan's like, oh, I don't know. And
I was arguing the thing, and this is true about women. For whatever reason, women are just more faithful, and I'm calling all the men out myself because they're just
Abraham.
they're just not afraid to step out. And so Gabby and my mom were just like, yeah, you just gotta pick a date. And so I went back in there and I was like, November 11th is when we're getting married. Which I don't know how many days from
it was like super soon. I
Yeah.
think 3 weeks away at that point. I'm pretty sure it was that. Because I know it was less than a month
and
away.
I think it was that same day too that I made a flyer on Canva.
Because we finally had the day. We had like told people like, hey, like be on the radar because we're getting married soon. We were just trying to pick a day. And then he finally made the flyer and we like sent it out and thought nobody's going to come because, you know, it's so last minute. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I thought, you know, the right people are going to somehow be able to go. You know, we were very faithful about it, like had high hopes. So we didn't think everyone was going to come, but I knew like the right people would show up, and that did end up happening.
There's so many crazy parts. Like even
I think
after
the next part was with the ring.
Yeah, we went to a different place. It was called like the Gold Exchange.
Yeah, because his mom had some jewelry that was passed down or something like
Yeah.
that. I don't know the exact details. I don't remember it. Like, it's all documented on my phone. I honestly should have, like, read through it first before starting this. But, yeah, she had, like, 2 rings, and she exchanged it and had, like, a certain amount of credit. And so I was able to get my second ring, and it fit me perfectly at the time. And it matched my current wedding ring.
Yeah, they
or
matched
band or
literally
whatever.
perfect. I don't
Yeah,
know if you
like,
can
they
hold
look-
it out or not, but
They look the same. I mean,
Yeah,
they're big on
hold
me
it out
now.
more. There you go.
But it fit perfect in the moment. And I tried on like 20 of them and none of them felt right. But I saw this one. I'm like, this one's perfect. And so the money that she got for her rings paid for not only my ring but Dylan's ring as well. And his was off Amazon.
Yeah, so I
It's
got
like $25.
I got like a Walmart one too. But this thing is crazy how long it lasted actually.
I know. I mean, it's only been like 2.5 years, but
Still, like barely
still,
any.
I know. It's crazy.
So there's 3 parts left. We needed to get somebody to marry us.
Yes.
We needed to get the wedding venue.
Yes.
And then what was the third one?
I mean, we needed food, we needed decorations, we needed like everything. So, yeah, it started off, we got the dress, we got the suit, we got the rings, we got the date. So, yeah, I think the biggest thing at this point
We
was...
should go next to the person. No, the venue's the biggest part. So let's how we were getting a person. We reached out to like
Oh, we reached out to a few people, and some of them were like, no, like, I need to know this is the Lord first,
Yeah.
which I get. How did we choose him again?
I don't even remember.
I think he just came to mind, but we reached out to somebody. Dylan, you didn't ever meet him, did
I've
you?
never met him in my
I
life.
knew him because I went and stayed with him and his wife, like a
Just
little bit
ministry
prior.
friends to
yeah,
clarify.
yeah, ministry friends and ministry family. They're great, and I had stayed with them for like a week or 2 with my other friend, and so for some reason he was coming to our mind, and so we reached out, and he's like, sure.
Yeah, it was crazy how that just happened. And again, this was all like coming down to the wire because that didn't happen like the same day as the mall where we got the tux and the rings and stuff.
Yeah, it was probably a few days after. It was like one thing, and then one thing, and then one thing. And yeah, it was just like, we're running out of time, we're running out of time, we're running out of time. And now we're like, okay, we invited all these people, but we need to find a venue.
Yeah, and something I want to say with the venue part, and this is like me being bold saying this because what I really want this podcast to be too is us sharing the real stuff. Things that we've struggled with and things that we never opened up on any of our channels or social medias before. But something hard with on my side at least, with the wedding venue, is we were trying to decide if we should do it in Pennsylvania or if we should do it closer to where Gabby's family was.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
And
that.
that was such a hard part of our testimony too, is like, you know, who are we going to please? Because ultimately, like, there's going to be some people that we disappoint. Some people are going to have to drive further than others. And that was something that we had to consider. And so that was just a big thing. And I share that because that's with every marriage, I think. And then
compromises.
Just issues with family sometimes is like, yeah, you're gonna deal with that if you're not married. You'll understand when you do get married. But it was a tough time trying to find a venue because it wasn't even just really about us. It was for everybody else too.
Yeah, like the driving distance. And then I do remember when we started looking into venues, we are kind of looking all over the place, like he's saying, both in New York and both in PA. And the good thing is that it's not far from one another, but we were looking and we're like, man, like I wrote down this list of all these places and I started calling them and it's like none of them had availability, because this is November 11th. So it's like a lot of the outdoor or even the enclosed places sometimes just didn't have availability. It was too late in the season. But I remember seeing this one place and it kept sticking out to me. It wasn't big in terms of like popular. Like I had never heard of it, and it was called Turning Point, wasn't it?
Oh yeah,
Turning Point Homestead, I think.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's just, we've been not keeping names in here, but whatever. It was called Turning Point, and I just kept seeing this name and I'm like, I just feel like this is the Lord. Like it's so highlighted to me right now. And so I called, and then it was either the same day or the next day we were able to go look at the venue. And I literally remember we did not have enough money for it at all.
Oh, yeah.
But I knew it was the Lord. Like, I just walked in and I'm like, I just know this is a place we're going to get married. So, like, let's put down our deposit in faith. Is what I told them.
Yeah, but that part we forgot to share, too. We didn't have money. Like, we got the place in faith. Like, we told the guy, yeah, we'll get it, but we didn't have money at the time.
We did. We had, like, a deposit amount.
Oh, yeah.
But we didn't. So, the full price was, like, I think, like, $3,000 or something. And I think we had about, like, $2,000. And so.
Are you sure that's how much we had? I thought we, like, had, like, $500.
Oh, no. We had a good chunk. We just didn't have it all. Like, I remember we had, like, most of it, but not all of it. But either way, we did not have enough money. And I actually remember expressing this to the guy. And, like, I don't know if he didn't hear me or disregarded it or whatever. But I'm like, I told Dylan, I'm like, I just know this is a place. We just got to do this in faith. Which is, like, a bold move, honestly, looking back. I'm like, dang. But so we put down the deposit, said we were going to have the wedding here, told everyone this address, and then just waited for the Lord to bless our finances.
Yeah, because I was thinking back to a YouTube video we made, and that's actually how it happened. There was a random person watching our video. It was just some random video too. It wasn't even about the wedding, I don't think. And
yeah, it was just a video we put out there.
Because the comment underneath the video is like, hey, like the video, I want to bless you guys with a little bit of money.
Yeah, that's literally what he said. He's been on my Facebook for a long time now, and if you're watching, we're so thankful because he's definitely blessed us, like, over the years. But that's literally what he said. He's like, I like this video or something like that. I want to bless you a little. But then he sent us $2,000. I'm like, a little?
Yeah.
I was, like, mind blown. I'm like, oh, my goodness. And so that paid for the rest of our venue. It paid for some decorations. But honestly, we didn't have to buy, like, any decorations because our family was just, like, blessing us with all those.
The biggest thing we had to pay for was the heating. Because it was in the middle of November, obviously. It was cold and rainy that day.
Yeah, that was the thing, though, too, is, like, we were a little stressed about, like, getting heaters. But remember, we didn't even need them. Like, they weren't working.
Yeah, I know.
We, like, rented heaters, and then they didn't even work. And for some reason, it stayed warm. And I was wearing, like, a sleeveless dress and all this stuff. But, yeah, even the food, I remember thinking, like, how are we going to, like, do all the food stuff? Because even though we were blessed with money...
Oh, sorry.
I thought you were, like, trying to tap me and get my attention. Even though we're blessed with money, catering's really expensive. So we just, like, reached out to some people in our families, like, hey, can you, like, just make a dish? And there was so much food. Like, I don't even understand.
We didn't even eat much of it.
I know. We were just so, like, obviously distracted having, like, our time. What?
I was,
What?
We were in love.
Were?
Well... Don't take it like that. I'm saying the honeymoon stage.
That's a whole nother video. But anyways, like I have a very strong opinion on that.
Yeah, that'll be
another video. Yeah, we just had this like huge buffet of food. And yeah, we barely got to enjoy the food. I wish I would have ate more food that day. I think it was just like the nerves of knowing we're married and all that stuff.
Life's over for both of us.
What?
I'm just messing with you.
What is he saying, guys?
Let's get to the day before.
The day before. This is so all over the place.
No, it's not. What do you mean?
What's the day before?
Like the day before the big day. I feel like
I don't remember what happened the day
I feel like we're at that point. You were with your friend Exona. You were like you were practicing makeup and stuff. I was at a hotel with my brother Nolly. Shout out to you, Nolly. And the other person who married us. Or who else was in the room that day?
He was at the hotel?
He not in the same room. It was me, Nolly, and I think Matthew. And I remember making a video that night. I forget what it was titled, but it was like...
Oh, yeah, like my last day single.
Yeah.
And I made a video, too, that night.
And we shared our thoughts, and it was just... It was so funny. It's on our channels. You can find them. One's on my old channel. I think it's... What was my old channel called?
I don't know.
I don't even know, but it's somewhere. And then Gabby had a channel, and it's on hers. But anyways, we shared our last thoughts, and I just remember being so excited because... I knew, like, living the life that we were living was hard enough. And so I was like, man, finally somebody that can, like, encourage me and help me grow. What?
Aw. But it's funny, spoiler, like, as soon as we got married, the life we thought we were going to live...
It changed.
It changed. Like, the way we were living. We weren't doing full-time ministry the same way. But anyways, that's for another time.
So is there anything else you want to share before we talk about the wedding day?
I honestly just feel like there's probably so many testimonies that we skipped over. Yeah. I just want to say, like, when I tell you, we literally had 6 weeks, and then we had 3 weeks from the day that we picked the date, the actual wedding. Yeah, it was just crazy how it all came together. There's so many little things. Like, everything for the wedding came together. All the decorations, all the people came that we wanted.
Yeah, and I remember...
We had everything that...
We didn't share this too, but you share it, because I think it was something that was important to you, was the purpose of our wedding wasn't just for us. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was something, like, heavily on our hearts at the time, was that it would be like a gospel wedding. Like, we specifically said, okay, like, a marriage obviously, like, is a beautiful celebration for us, but it's also, like, a picture of the Lord, like, our marriage with the Lord. And so we got to preach the gospel at our wedding, which was really cool. And we did some worship music, and it was just really centered around the Lord. Like, it truly was. Like, I felt the Lord's presence so strongly. And so to be able to have it Christ-centered was really cool.
Yeah, we had moments where somebody was even receiving, like, prayer, which was cool. Like,
actually, several people. Like, one of my friends was going around praying for specific people, giving them words of knowledge. Like, some of my family members, too, who had never experienced that. And they had come up to me, like, your friend just, like, told me all this stuff about myself. And, like, how did she even know? And she was just, like, amazed. Yeah, it was just crazy how it all came together. Like, it truly was the Lord. Like, every time I think of our wedding story, it's just a reminder of the Lord literally provides for everything. And I think sometimes we can forget that, like, looking at practicals. But, I mean, we did everything opposite to what people normally do or what they normally think. And I'm not saying everyone's wedding looks like that. But some weddings do, because the Lord just makes them that way. It's literally not man's ways. We couldn't have done it at all on our own.
Yeah. So is there anything, I mean, we kind of cut some corners. We didn't even share, like, the parts where we were reading our vows and stuff. Anything stick out there that you want to share that?
Does anything stick out to you?
Honestly, I can't think of, like, I think for me, I was just ready to start our life journey. As crazy as it sounds, I know some
impatient man.
I know some people look forward to obviously reading the vows. Some people look forward to the first kiss and stuff like that. But I was just like, in that moment, I didn't know anything that was gonna happen. I just wanted to see what our life was gonna look like afterwards, because we were traveling a lot. I didn't know if we were gonna continue traveling or what life was gonna look like.
Yeah.
But I was just thankful, at least in that moment, because I thought, well, if we still are traveling, it's so nice having, like,
someone there with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, it was so scary for me. Like, the whole idea of marriage, like, I said this in the last video. Like, the Lord really did a huge work, because I would say, like, one of the biggest fears I had in my walk was literally fear of, like, intimacy, being with somebody, like, having someone that, knows everything about you and is with you all the time. Like, that's just, and it's so terrifying to me. And even though I wanted that, like, I also didn't want that. Like, I just liked doing my own thing. I liked being independent. I liked hearing the voice of the Lord for myself and doing what I thought he said. And just, I had never been in a relationship, so, like, being in one terrified me. Like, the thought of it. Like, every single aspect of it. The physical touch scared me. Like, the emotional conversations. I was just like, ugh, yeah. I don't want to do any of that. So the Lord really honestly did a huge work. Going back, I think it really started in Texas when we had like that month or two to like really build like a romantic connection, like emotionally connecting and stuff like that. Because before that it was just as friends. And so like I think a big moment for me is when I like we obviously wrote our own vows. I guess I shouldn't say obvious because not everyone does, but we really wanted to because I love writing. And I don't like repetitive things. Yeah.
Because I never wrote anything like that.
Yeah. And so when I was sharing my vows, it's like I didn't even care at that point. So the Lord really did do a work with fear of mine because I'm like, I'm going to read how I feel in front of Dylan, in front of everybody. And I honestly didn't care at all, which was like awkward, honestly. I mean, I had like you would think it would be awkward, but in the moment, like it's like no one else was there.
What's funny about that actually though is at the wedding, like my vows felt like 5 minutes. Gabby's felt like 30 minutes.
I know, it was so long. I honestly should have just done...
It's a good thing, though.
I honestly should... Because, like, I feel bad everyone was just, like, sitting there and, like... I should have done, like, one page and then just read the rest in, like, private.
No, I think that was good. Like, it honestly made me feel like I should have done more. It was just, like... I didn't really want to overthink it. I just wanted to say things that were already in my head. Like, I didn't want to have to, like, I don't know, just sit in a chair and, like, okay, what's something that I can say? Because I'm not a writer. I've never was. And, like, especially when you're writing about something so real, it's just, like, it's, at least for me, it was always something that was difficult.
Not for me. It was my thing. I was excited.
But there's so many in between parts that we can talk about. Like she said, we probably missed so many things.
But what would you say the gist is? Like the gist of our coming together. What was the most highlighted?
That's tough.
Like for me it would be faith, I think.
I don't have a specific word. I just think of like even from our last video of how God did everything, because it started with us being with the people that we thought we were going to end up with, and all this confusion of who...
Well, I wasn't with anyone.
No, but it's like we never thought like it was
oh, yeah, we never thought it was each other at all.
I didn't think that was a thing. I didn't know what was going to happen, and then it was just like God did this. Like that's
so quick.
That's how fast it was, and it just blows my mind. So I'm like, I just think of quickness. I don't know.
Yeah, it was so quick, and like, in future videos, like, I think understanding will come as to why it was so quick. Because I mean, honestly, if it wasn't so quick, who knows if it would have happened at all? Yeah. Like, we really don't know. I mean, it's one of those like guessing games of like, okay, would we have not? How we would have like lost interest? I don't know.
It could be as simple as it could have kept us on track, honestly. That's something that I think God would do. Like my walk was already really difficult, and there was times where I was like falling short and going back to worldly things. I think if I didn't have that helpmate, which Gabby actually shared something recently about helpmate that was kind of like I never knew. Like, if you actually look into what a helper is.
Yeah, you have to look at the Greek translation of helper.
Yeah.
Because it's not just like, oh, you're a servant, you're a slave of your husband type of thing.
That's a whole video, too. But the point is, like, I feel like if I didn't have that helpmate in my life, it would have been a very tough journey for me. And, like, I know there's certain things that I just wouldn't have been able to really do on my own, to be honest. But the way I want to end this podcast... because our last one was crazy long. Last time we didn't talk about this. We said in the last one we were going to share our perspective now because things have obviously changed. So I think we should do that in this one.
Like perspective of marriage
or
each other?
Just how we view marriage now, when looking back. Like the one thing that we brought up was the honeymoon phase, which is something Gabby's passionate about. So you can highlight that a little bit and what that means to
Honestly, it's so hard to give an answer of what I think of marriage, because it's like we've been married for only just short of 3 years, but it feels like a million years. And marriage is so difficult. And so, I mean, there's so many things I could hit on, but because Dylan said honeymoon, I'll go to that. Not that I say this happens to probably anybody, but with the honeymoon stage, I think of like our life with the Lord, because again, marriage is a picture of like our marriage to the Lord and our covenant with the Lord. And so it's like, let's first talk about the Lord. With the Lord, you're never supposed to lose that honeymoon stage with Him. Like, we're supposed to, the more we know Him, the more we should be in love with Him, and the more we should want to serve Him, and the more we should want to spend time with Him. And it's not like force, it's just we want that because we know Him and we know He loves us and all those things. And so I don't think it's ever supposed to fade away, but obviously sometimes it does because of trials and the enemy and worldly things and blah, 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 blah. But in like a perfect sense, like, I think it's possible to continue in the honeymoon phase. Mm-hmm. And so back to marriage, like physically with a...
I got one thing.
Wait.
Okay. It's hard. I was just like, the Lord put something in my head. I was thinking of the verse where it says, go back to your first love. Mm-hmm. It's almost implying like, obviously God knew that people are going to struggle with that.
Yeah, definitely. Like, so even in
especially
the longer you're walking with the Lord, the more the enemy's trying to knock you down, or the more things that come up, or blah 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 blah. But anyways, back to marriage, like in the sense of marriage, like with a man and wife. I used to say the same thing, that I believe that the honeymoon stage isn't supposed to end, and obviously it usually does because we allow in bitterness or anger or blah 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 sin, and so it can end. But I think it's possible for it to remain intact, or if it was lost, to get it back, just like Dylan's saying, like get back to your first love or get back to your marital spouse love. Mm-hmm. And so I truly don't think it's supposed to be this thing where you're just like super in love for a month or 2 or 3 or 4, but I think it should always be there, and when it's not, we should like get back there, and make a way.
I would say to even like people who aren't born again, like a worldly couple, because I see posts online. I actually seen one recently where there's this perspective of like, you should live with somebody first to see if you're compatible, which is unbiblical. So like with what Gabby's saying, if you're in a situation where you lost your first love, like in the sense of marriage, like you and your partner aren't close, some people take that as, oh, now it's just time to give up. Like they assume that they can't work things out. But if it's true with Jesus, if He says come back to your first love, because it's possible, you can love Jesus again if you don't. It's the same with marriage. You can love your partner again and get back to that place. And I'm preaching at myself when I say that. Yeah. Because what marriage has done for me is, even before we got married and as we were getting married, I thought there were things that I really overcame. I thought there were things that I didn't deal with, like fear being one of them. I thought I got over anxiety. There's just so many different things, and then even like up to this point, I'm like, there's so many things that is wrong with me and things that have been exposed because of marriage.
Yeah, honestly, marriage amplifies anything in your heart that's not of God. Like, it tears it out, which is good. Yeah. It's sanctifying. I think that's the word that comes to my mind now, is like, at least in our season, that marriage is sanctifying. I think it gets back to the point of like honeymoon stage, and it gets back to the point of like, obviously, God doesn't want marriage to just be like difficult 24/7. He wants it to be a good thing, but it takes like the sanctifying work first, I think.
So,
but I don't know, we're only 3 years in almost.
Yeah. To actually end it now, I'm gonna ask Gabby a question.
That's good. We're running out of time.
Yeah. One last question that goes with the verse. I think this is actually when I want to highlight this with the podcast. Go back to your first love, not just talking about Jesus, but to married couples out there. Like I want that to be the thing that you take away. So to ask Gabby, looking back at the beginning, what do you like? Oh, man, I had the question in my head, but basically, like in order to go back to your first love, what made what made things exciting in the beginning that people can do or that we can do?
So like, are you saying like, how do you, if you've lost
Yeah.
the honeymoon
Like,
stage, how to get back there?
like what
Is that
made
you're
the
asking?
honeymoon stage in the beginning for us? What do you think that was? What made things so fun and exciting?
I would say it's like a mixture. I would say new things are exciting for most people. And like when you're getting to know somebody, having conversations, learning about them. So I would say like showing interest, showing desire to communicate or showing desire for what they like or if I show desire for what you like. So yeah, I would say communication, intentional time together, working things out, having fun, new experiences, being childlike, I think is so crucial. Honestly, it's been something I've been really thinking about lately. But I think when two people can be childlike together, like childlike faith, like that's just like amazing.
Yeah.
Anything else?
And I think it's like, obviously, in the beginning, there's nothing you really have to worry about because everything's exciting, the wedding and all the dates and stuff like that. But as where you get married, it's now like we have an apartment, I have a job, and so it's like having fun and having peace in the midst of all your practicals in life. And so that's where you really got to figure it out, is like, how can I have an exciting and fun marriage in a hard time in this world, honestly, where you're paying bills, and as we have a daughter, and so it's like all these things come into the mix now.
Yeah, I think it's like remaining childlike in faith, because I think we could lose sight of that. But there was one other thing I wanted to add, and I'm forgetting. Oh, you've actually said this before, like a while back. I think maybe in a video, or maybe we were just talking, but not taking the other person for granted and not getting too comfortable in the sense of like, because the person won't leave you, I think we can take advantage of that.
Yeah,
like
that's
you
true.
can be comfortable and like say things because well, they're Christian, they have to forgive me, and that's a horrible mindset to have.
It is true, though. That's what a lot of people think. I mean, I've thought that way, to be honest, because it is comfortable to have that thought, like knowing that you can. It sounds dark, but you could be like the worst person ever, and like. Yeah, that's something that a lot of Christians need to die to, unfortunately.
But God sees all. So it's like...
Yeah.
But what about you? To answer it quickly.
Yeah, okay.
To what you asked me.
What makes it exciting?
Yeah, like the excitement of the beginning and how that can happen.
I honestly...
To seasoned couples.
I think your last answer was like... If there was any answer, it was the answer where you said childlike, right?
Childlike faith. It's funny because it just came to my mind.
I think that way because, again, it's like everything was pure, everything was innocent, there was no worries. I think when things got hard for our marriage, it's when those things started to get amplified, the things got exposed in us. I think there was a lot of differences that came in because of ministries that we were part of. And,
yeah.
We allowed religion to kind of interfere with our marriage.
And just different, like, we have very different mindsets too,
Legalism,
and the way we think.
Just all the worldliness, like all the practicals that, yeah, they're important, but like I don't want my job's important. That's something that's important, and I don't want my stupid job. I'm saying it like that. I don't want my stupid worldly job to be the thing that kills my marriage. Like, yes, I'm gonna go to work and provide for my family, but work at the same time is not as important as my family. Like, I'd much rather be around here. So that's my answer. Is just like, I want to be childlike, even though I know all these things are taking place. And I just want to have the peace of the Lord in the midst of the chaos of this world.
Amen.
So that's going to be our podcast. I have no idea what episode 3 is going to entail, but we'll save that for another time. I wonder what the length of this one is.
I'm going to guess 1 hour, exactly.
Yeah, so if you guys like this video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe for more episodes. We're going to try to post these every Monday. I missed the last one. The last video took forever to upload. So we're going to get better at this. Let us know what we could do better, what you guys want us to dive into next, if there's anything else in this episode you want us to touch on. We want this to be an interactive experience and just have you guys involved as well. We want to get guests on eventually. We said on the last one as well. But thank you guys so much, and we'll see you in the next episode.